Good afternoon and welcome to the next Forums International webinar in the series. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Laurie Beagle, Managing Director at Forums International. And we're very pleased today to have Mark Cooper from Graydon, who is going to be taking us through the benefits of intelligent onboarding. As we go, you may have some questions. Now, there is a chat button, so please post your questions on there, and we'll either get to them as they're posted, or there'll be a Q&A session after Mark's presentation. We are recording this, so the webinar will be available for you to have a look at, and that will be available on the Forums International website in a couple of days' time. Now, for those of you who don't know Forums International, just to give you a little bit of background, we started in 2015, but we've actually been running forums since 1991. Our oldest forum, or the granddaddy of them all, as we call it, started in 1991, is now 27 years old, and it's just had its 156th meeting, and still going strong. Our forums provide opportunities for credit finance professionals to meet, discuss trading challenges in their specific industries, also to share experiences and problems and create new and best practices, and most importantly, talk about how to succeed in the future. And with things like Brexit coming up, there's a lot of things to talk about. They are learning experiences where the agenda items are dictated by the members, which is very important. And they're not lecture-based, but interactive workshops and discussions. We break our sessions into two. We have a subject matter expert who will cover 50% of the subject, and the other 50% is covered by the members and attendees' experiences. Now, if you put those two things together, it's very powerful. Now, if you've not been to a forum in the past, we offer you the ability to come along first time for free. That way you can meet the members and gauge for yourself the benefits before making any commitment to join. To give you some feedback from some of our members, Christine Knowles is Director of Credit at Wavecrest. She's a member of the International Telecoms Risk Forum, which started in 2001, and Christine's been a member certainly for the last 15 years. Norman Chung from Soprasteria is a member of the Credit Professionals Forum, which meets in Bracknell on a quarterly basis. And again, he's been a member for the last 15 years. And a lot of you know John Swan, Head of Credit at Hachette. He gets the gold star because he and his team belong to more forums than anybody else. So we are really grateful for his support ongoing. Just to very briefly just tell you about our portfolio. We're not going to go into lots of detail here, but we have forums for business and office supplies. In fact, it met yesterday in Nottingham. IT, telecoms, pharmaceuticals, as well as cross-industry groups and specialist groups like the SAP user group for frustrated SAP users. So a little bit of some ideas on what we're going to be doing for the future. We've been offered to hold a forum in Sofia, Bulgaria by Ingram Micro for our IT distributors. We're looking at revamping our International IT Credit Forum, which hasn't met for a couple of years. Our Pharmaceutical Forum is being extended to include international manufacturers. And by popular request, we're bringing back this year the golf and archery tournament. We didn't hold it this year, but we did the previous 2 years. And this year we're doing it for charity, which will be Diabetes UK. And also very exciting, we're also adding the ability for members to join the forums virtually. We did this yesterday with some attendees joining us from Cluj in Romania, so that we're traveling is not you can't travel for budget or other reasons. You can still join the meetings and still get all the benefits. So an exciting development for the new year. So I'd now like to introduce Mark Cooper from Graydon, and who's going to take you through the benefits of intelligent onboarding. Over to you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Laurie, and indeed, thanks everyone on the Forums International team that do a fantastic job, and welcome everyone to this webinar. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about onboarding today, intelligent onboarding, more importantly, the new Graydon onboarding solution. And what I'm going to demonstrate to you today is how we can speed up the whole onboarding process significantly, along with improving the customer experience by pushing workflow all on one seamless platform. So just a summary. So we've set up a strategic partnership between ourselves and True Narrative, who we've known for a number of years, and we've started and launched an encompassing onboarding solution and fraud prevention consortium all in one tool. True Narrative, we've got 100 years of domain experience. The people at the top there have had the top positions in the likes of Dun & Bradstreet, Market Location and GB Group, and linked in with our experience, 150 years in the data markets, it seemed like a particularly good match. And this really benefits all silos of the business, from credit and risk managers to fraud and compliance professionals, delivering greater control, accuracy and protection when you're formulating your risk decisions. So what does it look like? Companies, when they onboard a prospect, building it into a client, tend to work in silos. And what I mean by that is you might have everyone working together in the one company, but you might have the fraud assessment starting the process and the journey, and they might be using GB Group or Experian. And then you might have the credit assessment side of the team, who may be using Graydon or Experian or Dun & Bradstreet. And then you might have another part of the organization for compliance, where they'll be doing a PEPs and sanctions, maybe with Comply Advantage, Dow Jones or Thomson Reuters. So, and then what you're getting is everyone all working separately, all for the one goal, which is to bring the client on, using multitudes of different data providers. And what we're going to be pushing through with our onboarding solution is bringing all of those into one simple workflow tool and allowing you to be using different organizations. So it's a completely agnostic. You don't have to use Graydon. And we can be pulling different areas of the business all together into one workflow. So you might have a 24-hour turnaround at the moment, and we'll pull that together and bring it together in maybe 8 minutes for a decision. So this gives you just a high-level overview of the onboarding tool. So on the left-hand side there, you've got the business user, and they might be pushing into an application form or a data entry, or even an online application, which is what I'm going to show you and demonstrate for you today. And then goes into our mechanism and our workflow, and then we might be pulling data in then for it to do an ID verification or a KYC check, a consumer check. It might be on the credit side of the journey, where it's pulling data from D&B or Graydon to make a credit decision and a fraud decision. So it's pulling all of those different facets in to then bring it into the analytics side of our workflow tool, which is then where you can devise a strategy or a journey, and you can have different journeys for different parts of the organization. This is where you can devise rule sets and decisioning, and the App Store, which is where we can be pulling the data from, let's say, Experian or D&B or Graydon or into the rules, to then right at the end of the journey, bring in that accept, refer, decline. It might even say it hasn't quite ticked all the boxes, so it's going to go back and start the journey at a different level. for it to be formulating a credit decision ultimately, and a yes or a no, for it to then populate it, push it through to the right people to then bring that person on to a customer. And just simple features. So it's one solution for credit risk, ID verification, frauds and compliance. The app stores, which I'll show you next, which is on our online demonstration, which is where you can be pulling data from all various sources, and there's no IT integration. The unique thing about this is you could be pulling data sources from existing relationships that you've got with data providers, but you don't need any IT integration. We just pull it across and the IT link is already then formed. One single case management, so at the end of it, you can be pulling the decision in and then pushing it through on a case management to be then pushed into different organizations, different levels and departments of your business to then manage it. You can automate the credit decisioning for it at the end. So we can devise the rules for it to push and then straight into your CRM for it to then populate it and then actually create a client. And machine learning, we have a consortium of data, and we have members that are pushing data into this and fraud analysis into this on a daily basis. So it's got intelligent learning built into it. So what I'm going to show you now is a live demonstration. So I'm going to come off the PowerPoint and I'm going to show you a live demonstration. So this is where I'm going to, as an example here, I'm going to do an online application. So this is where we've built an online application as an example. So as we can see here, this is around a construction, but this is completely white labeled. It could look like anything. And I'm going to do the equivalent of an online application where someone would go onto a website. However, this could easily be sitting inside a data entry. It could be sitting inside your CRM. It could be on Oracle or SAP or wherever. However, I'm just going to show you how easy it is for someone to open an application. So first thing on my journey, your journey can look like anything, but on my journey, I'm going to be showing you, first of all, I'm going to be inputting data for a company. And then I'm going to be doing a verification that the company is real. I'm going to be doing a fraud check against that company. And then I'm going to be doing a credit check against the business itself. So I've populated this with simple sole trader partnerships limited companies. And I'm going to do one, Friends British Airways, an example. I've said I want to see trading names and I want to see company numbers, but you could have this looking like anything you wanted to. And then I'm going to be doing a check against the business to make sure that we find them. This has got an API into Graydon's database, so it's matching against the postcode, and it's saying we can see American Airlines and BA here, so I'm going to say BA is the correct one. And then it's going to be populating the data there for British Airways. And I've also said in here, if you want to, you can put in the number of years it's established. And then I'm also going to be doing a bank validation. And the bank validation will be checking against fraud against the bank and validating that it's a real bank as well. You don't have to have this level in there. However, chosen for this purpose, we're going to be showing you all the different elements that you could be doing. Okay, and then, so this is going off to my API now. And now it's doing the validation on the business. It's doing a fraud check on the business, and it's doing a bank validation. So that's already done all those three elements. And now I've chosen for it to be doing a ID verification. So as an example here, this is a QR code in front of you. If you had a local branch or a local store and you wanted to be able to grant people immediate credit at that level, you could, if you wanted to, have a QR code where I would snap the QR with my camera and do a selfie, and then that would input into this, and then we could match that along with an ID. So for an example, a driving license, and it'll do a biometric analysis, triangulation against the two, and it'll be advising that that is the correct person, and it'll be pushing against obviously stopping ID theft. On this purpose, though, we can also upload it to your email or your device. I'm going to upload Okay, sorry, that slight technical error there with my Wi-Fi. So I'm now going to do a verification against me as a director or a proprietor of that business as well. So this is where it's going to be checking against me as an individual. If you want it to do a full consumer check, or indeed, if you just wanted it to do a clarification against the ID. And I'm going to ask it to check against my address as well. So it's finding me, and I'm going to confirm that I am who I say I am. That's now going off into the ether, as we can see. It's linking up into the API, and it's going to do the validation against me as an individual. It's going to do the ID verification check. If we had the QR code and zapped against me as a selfie, it'll also be doing the biometric analysis against my face as well. There you go. So what we've done there, that's been successful. So we can easily input a credit limit into this as an example, and I'll go into and show you the information shortly. But what we've done there is a clarification of businesses who it says it is. We've done the fraud check against the business. We've done the credit check against the business with the limits. We've also done the ID verification, the consumer analysis against me, and the bank validation. So we've done 6 elements there in around about 3 minutes. Now, obviously, a journey can look like anything you want it to. I'm going to go into the audit trail here, so we can see here all the different accounts that we've opened. These could easily be sitting with individuals within the business or different departments. As an example, I'm going to show you, you log into this journey here, and I'm going to show you some of the details. So it's advising me, confirming all the application details that we've put in. I've put some basic rules into this, which are based on our scoring, our internal scoring for Graydon. And then we store everything within here as well. So you can drag and store and draw the information from the credit report. So as an example here, this is the Graydon report, and you've got the full data dictionary that you've got within the report. That is stored there for life for you as well within this. And also, I'm just going to show you very simply how easy it is to formulate journeys and create a rule set. So here I've got lots of journeys. These, as an example for your business, could easily say we want to do ID verification or fraud checks. We want to do, we're going to have a particular journey for online applications, or for internal, we want an application for PLCs and major accounts and our SME market. And then if we go into one of these scorecards I've created, just going to give you an example. So this is telling me where it's obviously pulling Graydon data through to for this particular journey. And I'm going to remove Graydon and go onto the apps, and we can see there's lots of different companies. You can add companies into this. So any company that you've got a contract with, whether it's Dun & Bradstreet, Thomson Reuters, Graydon, CreditSafe, whoever, you can add that data into it and create a journey. So I might say now, look, I want to do a consumer check first, and then a bank validation, and then I want to do the Graydon analysis then, and I also want to do an authenticate, which is the ID verification, and finally I want to do a PEPs and sanctions. So I've created that journey. There is no IT configuration or hookup here for the API. That's already completely done it in real time. So you consider how long an API feed would normally take, and you'd have to raise the tickets and go on to 6-month waiting list for your IT. That then does that all in a matter of seconds. And then in terms of the rules, so we all devise rules when we onboard you, as an example for buying into this, but you can also self-serve, and you can also add and create your own rules as well. So we can add rules into the mix. And just to show you just a simple rule, I'll add a condition, that's what it's called, and I'll put in there. So the requested credit limit that you would want is less than, and I'll put in Graydon maximum limit there. So this is a simple rule which would say, so if the amount with the people either who are inputting the data entry people, or indeed someone going online and trying to open an application form, is less than what Graydon is saying, then we could say we want to push it through for a fail or a refer, or indeed push it straight through to a different element of the business. Normally, for rules within any onboarding solutions, you've got to go straight to IT. So this takes away all that and just keeps it very, very simple. And finally on here, you can also create your own dashboards. So you've got your own, you can bespoke this to your own SLAs. You could have different dashboards for different members of the team, so they can see which cases are open, how many accepts, refers, declines, what potential fraud is actually working with their current onboarding at the moment, how many are open, how many are in progress. You can escalate them to different members of the team, reassign them. You can have the fraud going specifically to one member of the team, compliance going to another. From a strategic point of view, you could see and have an overview of this as a management. And this is all done via widgets. So you can create your own dashboards and bespoke them and just drag and drop and create them just like you do with your iPads at home. And devised it to be very, very modern and simplistic to use. And that's just a really high level overview of our new onboarding solution. I hope you agree that it's very current. I'd love to talk to anyone about it in more detail, and indeed ask any questions, and I'll be happy to answer those now. We've got a little bit of time left. And that's me, Laurie, if I want to feed back to you to do the Q&A.
Okay. Okay, so do we have any questions coming up? Can I just recap then, Mark, there? You said that you can use this with any data provider, so it doesn't have to be just Graydon?
No, so the onboarding solution is completely agnostic. So you can use this with any provider at all and pull it straight into the system. So you don't need to be using Graydon to be able to utilize this.
Okay, good. Right, there is one question here from Jose. Hi, if a person sends a fake passport, how can the platform detect this? Okay, then, so two answers to that really. So if they just send the passport across and that's it, then the first test would be that it will be doing an analysis on the passports. It'll be doing a font analysis. It's completely conditioned to be able to see whether the style of the passport is true or it isn't true. It'll have a look at and do an analysis of the picture. It'll see whether the picture is real or whether someone has just photoshopped and dragged it into it. In addition to that, it'll also, if you take it another level and do the QR code, and then they have to do a selfie and put a passport across, then it'll do the biometric analysis, and it'll actually see whether the face is actually identical to and configured correctly to the passport picture, and it actually allows for aging as well. So there are various layers into it, and it's pretty much as watertight
as you would get it in terms of ID fraud detection.
Okay, that's good. We have another question here from Cushley. I'd assume that's Jonathan Cushley. Hi, Mark. Could you confirm which countries the platform covers? Is it global?
Great question. Okay.
And it's Jonathan. He's put it at the end.
Okay, Jonathan. So it's UK right now. However, we are loading the API to cover Europe, and then into the new year, we'll also be covering Asia and Middle East as well. So it's UK now, then it'll be moving to Europe very shortly, and then it'll be moving to global.
Okay. Any other questions out there? I was interested in the drag and drop of the apps there, Mark. Is there a lot of apps that you can draw from? Has he gone?
No, I'm still here.
Did he hear the question?
Oh, sorry. There's another. Was that? No, I've just answered one for Jonathan. Was there?
This is from me.
Oh, sorry.
On the apps that you drag and dropped across, are there a lot of apps that you can draw from? I saw you took 3 or 4 across. Yeah.
So it's you can add apps into it, Laurie. So you can, as an example, there are many apps in there already with many providers. However, if you have a relationship with a particular company and it's not in there, then we would simply add that in, and then we would input your credentials into it because you'd already have a contract. And if you haven't and you want one, then we would build that for you, and then you would just drag and drop. So it's a really simple process. So any provider could go into that app store.
Okay. No IT required, right?
No, and on that side of it, no, there's no IT configuration, which is completely unique. So you would just, if it was Graydon as an example, you just drag us across, and then that's the IT configuration there. And then if you also have another provider, i.e. D&B, you could drag that across, and again, that's your IT configuration, your API link done immediately. It's the only IT configuration you would need is if you wanted this then to sit within your actual CRM, as an example. So if you didn't want to use this as a web-based application, you wanted it sitting within your CRM, then obviously your IT would need to build it into it. But it's really simple anyway to do that. It's obviously the latest technology and RESTful APIs, so it's very simple to do.
Well, I think we've run out of questions, Mark. So we'll go to the final slide, hopefully.
Thank you.
A big thank you, Mark, for that. Hopefully everybody found that really interesting. So thank you for joining in the webinar. As we said earlier, you will be able to see a copy of the webinar on the website in the next couple of days, which will make that public. Our next webinar is the 22nd of November with another one of our corporate partners, Remilia. And if you want to know more about Forums International, the forums that we run, the ones that are coming up next, please go to our website. And apart from that, I'd like to wish you all a Merry Christmas. And thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.